What's up guys, it's Manny here with Beer on Bus, and today I'm going to teach you guys how to build a cabinet with one piece of plywood and no table saw. Let's go. Alright guys, so for this project we're going to need some wood glue, a pencil, a tape measure, a skill saw, a jigsaw, a square, a screw gun, a sander. If you don't have a sander, you can use regular sandpaper, and you're also going to need something like this to make a straight line because we're not going to be using a table saw for this. Let's go. Started by measuring out 1 foot by 4 foot pieces of wood that will work as the sides of the cabinet. Since we're not using a table saw, we're using a square and a long ruler to make sure we have the straightest line possible. And going back and double checking our measurement before we cut this piece of wood with the skill saw. Again, we're cutting out 2 identical pieces that will work as the sides of the cabinet. And after cutting both pieces of wood, my cameraman and I decided it was time to take a water break. Shouts out to my son for taking this video. We then got right back to work and measured out the top, bottom, and shelves of the cabinet. And with this simple design, you just have to cut 4 equal pieces of wood that will work at the shelves and the top of the cabinet. And the measurements we used are 12 by 13 inches, but you can adjust yours as needed. Again, make sure to double check your measurements and use your square to make the straightest lines possible. And after we cut all the pieces, it was time to give them a good sanding. We used 1200 grit sandpaper and a rigid palm sander. My palm sander ran me about 90 bucks, but you can get one for cheaper at Home Depot. Then it was time to put all the pieces together, and we used some high PSI wood glue, a nail gun, and this cool corner clamp that keeps all the corners at a perfect 90-degree angle. Once we got it looking like this, it was time to install the shelves. So I measured my shelves 15 inches apart to make them evenly spaced. I then glued where the shelf would go, put it into place, and nailed it in. And if you guys are doing this at home, you don't have to use a nail gun. You can always use screws, but we chose to use a nail gun because we feel like it looks a little better. We then repeated the process on the next shelf until it looked like this. I then cut out 4 2-inch by 11-inch pieces of wood and made a box out of it because this is going to go underneath the cabinet to support the legs. And of course, right in the middle of the project, my nail gun ran out of nails, so I had to reload it. Once I finished putting the box together, I glued and clamped it underneath the cabinet and then nailed it into place. I then cut out 4 1.5 by 5-inch pieces of wood that will work as the legs, glued them on, and then screwed them into place to make sure they're a little more sturdy. If you do this at home, make sure you measure and install the legs as perfect as possible. If not, it will be wobbly. Next, we laid the cabinet face down and used high PSI wood glue to glue on the back of the cabinet. Once the backer was in place, I went around the whole cabinet and nailed it in. I then grabbed the router and went around the entire cabinet, routering all the edges to give it a nice sleek look. I then went around the entire cabinet to give it one last sand to make sure it looks nice and smooth. And I'm really happy with the way this cabinet turned out. If you guys like the content, make sure to like and subscribe. See you in the next video.